So, I'm looking at what's being done right now. And I'm going to just use one situation. The coronavirus. Let's take this thing for example, right? This coronavirus, I'm going to tell you like this. Tragedy is supposed to cause men to look for the cause and the solution. And the fallacy that's happening right now. Look, it is not wrong. You are not in error to look for the solution to the problem. That's the point. That's the intent. It's meant, all problems are meant to make people, individuals, look, if you will, for the solution. And so the Father places things in man's life so that he may look and seek out the solution thereof. Now, the problem with the solutions that you all have chosen or have come up with, and I'm gonna say this. And the problem arises like this: birth pains. There has been throughout all of our history so many tragedies, so many issues, so many problems, right? And since we've got into this materialistic mindset, the moment we got into this materialistic mindset, we neglect to solve every single problem according to the Spirit. I remember reading in the scriptures in the Old Testament, all I'm talking about all the books dealing with the Old Testament of in the scriptures, outside of the scriptures, all the books of old, like as far as the book of Adam and Eve and the Cave of Treasures and all of these books. There's something about righteous people, something that a type of thinking that they had in all of these books, that when the slightest trouble came their way, I'm talking about the slightest trouble came their way, they always question, well, what is the will of the Lord in this? I'm talking about these righteous people always looked to say, what means this trouble? My Father would never send me trouble, and yet there's trouble in my life. So if he allowed it, why does he? If it's manifesting, why is it? And so the problem with carnal is that for a long time, since we've got into this carnal mindset, for a very, very long time, we've only solved all of our problems materially. Every single one of our problems. No problem right now is being spiritually solved. And so when there was a time when, if there was the slightest shake in all of the harmony, or seeming shake, if you will, in all of the harmony that God has established, man knew his troubles were ready. Man knew that his error, his sin, was eventually going to meet back up with him. And that was when you first heard something like that, you take it serious. You watch everything that you do, right? But then when you start to see, oh, I maybe made a mistake and forgot one here and nothing happened, You say to yourself, okay, well then it seems like nothing's ever going to happen. And so what's been happening, people, is that what you have done with solving the problem is the simple fact that you solved it materially, so it seems. The thing that has to happen is the fact that you all must understand that your matter, your material, can no longer solve the problems before you. And so now is the hour, now is the time that you all roll out a vaccine. Well, those who make it past the vaccine, all other troubles are waiting you. If you escape this vaccine, I guarantee you a new trouble is right around the corner, greater than the one you've escaped. And then when you escape that one, you're going to be faced with another one, and then so on and so forth. Down the line, you all are going to start having so many troubles. You all, meaning the carnal men, are going to have so many troubles in this life, back to back to back, so until you realize that it is the virtue of the Most High that you do not have access to, or that you've lost sight of, or that is weak in your life, that in a sense you've in a sense worldwide cut off the virtues of the Most High that protected and kept man safe. You're going to realize that peace is not, I'm going to tell you like this, and this is true. This is very, very true. None of the virtues of the Most High, like peace, love, safety, charity, so on and so forth, none of the virtues of the Most High, they're nothing that belongs to man. In a sense, man doesn't generate it, man doesn't create it. I can't say generate, but man doesn't create it. He's not the essence thereof, but they are his essences. The attributes of the Most High are the essences of man. And so we've got to realize that if pestilence, if we've got weak from such a sickness, I guarantee you this sickness is probably at the lowest level, yet causing the greatest problems, because our health system, the health of our body is weak. Is truly weak, because men haven't been spiritually healing themselves and only been working materially to heal themselves. Then pestilence will manifest as a result. And it will manifest worldwide to show that the result is worldwide. You see, we have begun already, not going to, but it has already begun that the Father is telling us worldwide issues by causing worldwide issues, or in the sense, allowing worldwide issues. So that man may learn to love. All of this is so that we all may learn to love. And so y'all decide y'all want to come up with a vaccine, solve this problem, and not one of y'all, I'll say a few, because through every single one of them, the Father prophesies that there will be some that will come to the realization of what's going on. But the lot of y'all, carnal men, you're sitting here going through these problems, and nothing is transforming your mind. Nothing is changing you. No effect is happening. So you must be pinched with a greater a chastisement, if you will. In order to get to a chastisement at the level that is enough to convince you. And that's the sad thing, is that there needs to be a trouble in your life that is enough to convince you that the Father is real. Now, man will see the Father's virtues go throughout the earth, right? And they're constantly streaming. And they will become effective by those that keep the law. And you all will see that it isn't a plan for peace that you need. It is a prayer for peace that you need. A conforming to peace within that you need. You don't need just, if you will, because I guarantee you all the plans that you make without the Father in sight are nothing like the plans that you would make had you had him in your sight. And so, what have you solved? Y'all are happy about this vaccine? Y'all excited about it coming to pass? Knowing that something so worldwide is a message that must meet man worldwide, must be considered in man's mind worldwide. You see, these worldwide things are causing everybody to look at the one thing that they need to be paying attention to. You received pestilence because the virtue of health is declining. You need peace. Because through the wars and the calamities that we see, the virtue of peace is declining. And we need sound minds. Because that sure enough has declined already as it is. People, we need pretty much all the virtues that we think are nothing, that we consider our own powers, if you will, because they feel like us when the virtues are being worked or being executed, right? Because man is the conduit of the Most High. But the virtues that are in, if you will, the second heaven, or the third virtues and powers, these virtues are peace, wisdom, love, truth, understanding, faith, every attribute of the Most High, that by these attributes, don't you understand when wisdom goes forth? We consider it to be an attribute, but to take that attribute and be able to perceive wisdom being done in all things, harmony, unity being done in all things, order being everywhere that you see, where scientists are baffled at the matter thereof. The fact that there's order everywhere, like an intelligent mind had to be behind this. Well, that's the virtue, you see. The intelligence thereof explains and shows an image in man's mind of the virtues of God. Right? And so scientists do nothing but study the virtues of the Most High. They're perplexed at mathematicians and physicists and chemistrists, and all of these individuals are perplexed at the mastery of virtues that they find in the Most High. The intellect, the mind and thinking, and the power that moves, right? And so the greatest virtue of all that we are in need of, people, that will heal us, I'm going to tell you like this, is love. And the only way we gonna get it is if we begin to turn it on. We can ebb and flow with love. Man is a conduit, so he is the only being that exists that can ebb and flow with the streams, with the life-giving essences of the attributes that are of the Most High. And love is one that we need to ebb and flow. And so you say, Anaya, how can we ebb and flow with the love of the Most High? Well, charity is the mechanism, the method, if you will, and faith is the very mechanism thereof, the power thereof. Do you understand? Faith is just your will at the highest order. You understand what I'm saying? It's a faith. It's your will demanding and ordering sin be gone. It's ensuring that it's done perfectly down to the very mastery of a wire the Father enabled you to do. Yeah, so you understand that when the lights of truth are open to you and you say you want to make every facet of this thing true, man who says, Father, forgive me, knows that in his mind lingers the thought of, well, has he done a thing that's deserving of my forgiveness? And so he looks into every single facet of his life and he says, Father, forgive me. And he knows that to attain that forgiveness, truly he must let go of that sin completely. You see, forgiveness is a struggle until the struggle is met. And then, only then, when the struggle is met, can forgiveness be assured, expected, known that it is achieved and received, and the maintenance thereof forevermore, the resistance of sin forevermore. But yet y'all just want to say it, y'all just want to speak it. Carnal man just wants to think of, oh, there is no need for me to ask for forgiveness, there is no forgiveness to be had there, and then to say, oh, okay, well, when it's time for me to appear like I want to be forgiven, I could just express, oh, I ask the Father for forgiveness every single day, knowing you don't. I'm always thinking about forgiveness. No, forgiveness is something that's in the back of everybody's mind right now. It's not forefront. It's not at the front so people can see. Forgiveness, y'all just say forgiveness and throw that thing in a closet. That's how y'all do it, right? That's how y'all do it. But now it's time for people to say forgiveness and then think of methods to turn it around, right? And to begin to work to undo. I'm going to tell you like this. If everybody works of their own accord to undo their sin, they will find this world to begin to appear like something so beautiful, something so amazing, right? Because everybody is working to undo. And I guarantee you that a work to undo all that we evil people have done is simply love. And that work will undo charity. It will undo all the evils man have done in the earth. And you will find out that this is your work. We have been doing opposite of the work we were intended to do. And love was meant to put in mechanisms that will extend and grow and increase the virtues of the Most High that are the backbone, the power system, the generators of all that we experience in our lives. We see virtues that are high in spiritual, like wisdom and truth and things like that, but we neglect the simple virtues, the lower virtues, which are things that are more direct in the number of this, in the writing of that, and the curve of that, and the color and how the patterns are, and all of these are simple virtues, right? Smaller subject virtues of the kingdom of the Most High. They're smaller virtues just to help things function, right? order and in diligence and hard work, right? Activity of the smallest degree, even in an atom, right? That man would look over, not realizing that this is simply a virtue of the Most High. And it is him who feels this very virtue at that very activity. It is him, the activity in the very thing, working out the virtue itself. And the thing is the thing that in its mind appears to be itself doing the virtue. I guarantee you that a moving of your own hands is the very virtue of the Most High. This right here is the Most High moving. Even though y'all see it's me, even though I feel it's me, it's not me, it's all his power. And so I could be absent of this virtue to do this, the ability to do this, the grace with which to do it. I could be absent of this. Let my limb be cut off. I can't do it no more, right? Let it be cut off. I can't do it no more. And so just like that, the ligaments of the virtues that ought to be in man are being cut off, right? And I guarantee you it's he who is cutting off every limb himself. You're cutting off the limbs of the virtues of your soul, the limbs and the bodies, the ligaments of your soul. You see, y'all don't understand, man's soul is made of all the virtues of the Most High. And so the sinews that we need to be putting together, the resurrection we truly need to see is this. This is the Ezekiel prophecy with which we see the ligaments in the valley of dry bones, whereby he speaks and those ligaments become whole again, and man begins to put on the virtues of the Most High, yet not esteeming these virtues, though they be great, higher than the Most High, and rising up to him and loving him with all their being. People, we're missing something. Peace is being taken away from us. Joy is being taken away from us. And we're the ones taking it away from ourselves with every single deed we are working. You see, the tragedies that we are experiencing, and this is how prophets were able to prophesy and see. The tragedies that man are experiencing, knowing how well and how perfect and how faithful the Father works. So the tragedies that man is experiencing is only a result of his own actions, right? Because the Father works a perfect work. And man turns his work into chaos, into cursing, right? Into what appears to be cursing, which is only punishment, if you will. Which is only punishment. His seeming cursing is only love from the Most High trying to spark and generate and wake him back up to his original self, so that he may get the mindset. And it's always the thing with which man is punished with is always the virtue. It's always the explanation of the virtue that he needs to act out in order to appease this opposite, that virtue. You understand? In order to appease the opposite, that virtue, by way of cancellation of doing the good deed, to cancel out the negative effect that has been caused in this situation. Right? And so we are all going around causing negativity all everywhere, right? Reversing all of the positive poles of the Most High into negative poles, which is the anger of the Most High. The negative poles, the anger of the Most High, which this thing that's done, think about it, had this trouble not come, or if this trouble does not come, man will not consider to change and turn around, or to do the opposing action to appease in the spirit the troubles that we see. You see, so we got vaccines going out, but we're not doing anything that brings the healing to man, right? And so wisdom is man's healing in his spirit. And so because we lack wisdom, we suffer ailments in our flesh, right? Because poles are negative, not just outwardly, but inwardly within us. And so we're taking the very virtue of the Most High. You understand what I'm saying? And we're receiving his virtues negatively. And so we respond negatively, and this is what's called sin. Negative responses to the positive virtues of the Most High, the good virtues of the Most High, and taking his virtues and turning it to evil, right? By directing your virtues towards selfishness, right? Towards money, towards materialism, right? All the virtues of the Most High were meant to direct, we were meant to direct these virtues one towards another in righteousness, in goodness, and in wholeness. That's what we were meant. And so I'm talking about the second heaven here. And so we've neglected this heaven, this virtue, the virtues of the Most High, the power. Don't you understand? The very beat of my heart is a virtue of the Most High. The flow of my blood is his virtue. The things that beat within me without my doing is a virtue, activating and power, moving and vibrating and causing it to even transpire. You understand what I'm saying? These are the things, family, that in understanding these things, knowing that these are the virtues, that the seeing of my eye is a virtue, the speaking of my voice, these are all virtues, powers, and activities of the Most High that takes the one thing to activate: my will. My free will is able to activate just my will being there alone. Do you not understand? My will is constantly generating power. And so that constant stream of power is directed to my eyes, right? It's directed to my mouth, my speaking, my heart, my breathing, the flow of my blood. And so that constant stream of power is only a similitude, so as to manifest to man that there is a power in him constantly generating life. And so if man would have life, he would act in wisdom. He would understand that his source of life, of being, of existence is the Most High himself. And the virtues that we've learned to call wisdom, truth, knowledge, understanding, experience, faithfulness, virtue itself, love and truth, joy and glory that belongs to only him. We've neglected how to live in the spirit, y'all. You see, y'all don't understand. We could soup up and power up on the virtues of the Most High like supermen and women. You understand? Learning more and more his graceful virtues and humility, right? You have to be a certain state of mind in order to begin to activate these things and receive these things. You see, you don't think that it's peace that should be within you. You don't think that it's harmony that should be within you, love that should be within you. You understand what I'm saying? Look, my body is within the world, and so I don't think that the waters are within me, right? And so my body within the world, the body of the whole world itself, right? My body within that world has to drink the waters thereof, right? Because that which is within a thing must drink of the thing itself. And so we're within the earth, so we must eat of the fruit of the herbs and of the trees, right? But man has turned all of the things he is meant to do into chaos and evils and in hatred and in anger. And so we've been turning all of the poles and opening the veins wide open on the poles. You understand? We've been turning all of the streams of the Most High, his virtues that have kept us safe and kept us going and sustained for this long. You see, man is meant to learn just how much he is not joy itself, that he must lean on another for his joy. He must learn that he is not love itself, that he must lean on another for his love. He must learn that he is not the thing that is the breath, the blood, the flow of his life, the stream of his consciousness, his free will itself is not his own. Though it is his free will, it is not his own that he makes use of. He makes use of another will freely. You understand? Free will is the will of using the will that is the Most High's freely, to direct it freely of your own intent and in your own purpose, right? And so man was meant to learn that his intent was meant to be glorifying the Father. It was meant to be glorifying the Father and honoring his name, right? And teaching one another of wisdom and of love. It was meant to, if you're going to use someone else's will, then do according to his will. If you're going to use someone else's life force, then with that life force, you must do his work as well. You understand? If you're going to be hired on my company, in my business, using my things, then on my things, you must only do according to my will. And so those who do things that if you will, that they have to maintain with their own company, right? They, like, for example, when they use the computers in their own company, right? You can only use the computer for computer and company things, right? When you use someone else's materials and brooms and mops and janitorial supplies or whatever, you use it for that company, right? And only in some cases do you get the ox that's not muzzled, so that the ox can tread the corn, where you can share and take home some of the things that are in the company, right? If you work these things, you have a right to partake of them, right? And so this is the Father who muzzles not the ox, right? Who treaded the corn of his virtues, right? And so when you do the virtues of the Most High, you can also sup those virtues. And so man is allowed to sup of the virtues of the Most High, so long as he labors in them. And so we have not been laboring in love. So we can't sup of something in which we don't labor in. You want me to tell you what we do labor in, though? Sin, evil, wickedness. These are the things that we labor in this life. And so we must partake of these things. You see, the virtues of the Most High go like this. If you do wisdom, you receive wisdom. If you do love, you receive love. You activate love. You glorify the Most High by doing according to his will, according to the attributes that are his and not yours. So you must learn how he would will love, how his love would be a reasonable love. You understand what I'm saying? A love that, in a sense, affords me my needs, right? And refuses me my pleasures and my desires, right? That are in error and against the Father and against the Most High, right? So as to do and not do the things that would hinder me or make me better. And the Father is more so concerned. I'm going to tell you like this. He is blessing nobody in the material. So all y'all that consider y'all material blessings of the Most High, I will tell you like this. None are truly blessed in the material that was not all encompassing, meant to be for the blessing of your soul. First and foremost, your soul, the health and nature of your mind, your thinking comes first in the with the Most High. And so if blessing you would hinder you, therefore, if it will hinder your mind, he will not give it to you. But if he must give you something in the negative in order to heal your mind, he will do it. And so this is how you understand that his love is forevermore, whether it appears to be suffering and negativity. If man would only receive the suffering and let it transform your mind. You understand? I'm going to tell you, the suffering will remain over your head until your mind, your thinking, your heart is transmuted into the will and formed by the will of the Most High. This is the forming that the Father meant when he breathed into Adam and he was formed and became a living being. You understand? A living being. Living requires activity, but what activity other than the attributes of the Most High? You see, man sees himself running and says, "Oh, he's a runner," and not realizing he's naming an attribute that is of the Most High. And so man could be taken, that attribute can be taken away from man, or man can be cut off from that attribute. And we know this for sure. And so we see all of us using all of these attributes of the Most High when we call these things professions and we put names on the things that we're doing, right? And we realize that in name, in nature, and in appearance, this thing is thus an attribute that we can the verb of the Most High, if you will. We can activate these things. We do these things. We utilize man has put a man has put a law on diet and in what manner of diet he ought to eat. Man has put a law on acting and one towards another, and in what way he ought to act one towards another. Man has put you got the dietary law, you got the sacrificial law, you got all of these different laws that came about only to do this one thing: to conduct activity, people, according to the manners of the attributes of God. And in conducting activity, the stream of activity ebbs and flow with these attributes of the Most High, only increasing these attributes so that man may enjoy more of these attributes, so that he understands that as long as he ebbs and flow with peace, so shall what a man sows, so shall he reap. This is ebb and flow, sowing and reaping. And so when man begins to ebb and flow with the Father in an attribute that he esteems to learn, or desires to learn, if you will. When man says, I want to learn more of the wisdom of the Most High. And so he begins to study and say, wow, this is wisdom. I like that. And he begins to accept and conform to all of the things, the precepts and the teachings that comes out of wisdom. I'm going to tell you like this. Wisdom is fractal knowledge. And I believe I've done a video on that as well. It's fractal knowledge. It's saying the same thing multitude of ways that opens up a whole heaven of perspectives that man can use to get the work done. And he can choose the one that merits the best in every situation, right? And so man doesn't realize the flowing and the streaming of the Most High, right? Until he learns to tap into the wisdom of the Most High. But wisdom conducts all of life. Wisdom is the conduit of life. And so when it comes down to it, when there is a lack of wisdom, the lack of that wisdom, that stream is being cut off. When man begins to stream, ebb and flow with ignorance, then he's got to reap what comes from ignorance. And so when man sows wisdom, he must reap what sows from wisdom. And so this is how we must understand that sowing and reaping. If man were to turn the coronavirus, all of the troubles that he's facing, if man were to turn all of these things around, he would cease ebbing and flowing with the cause of them, the evils that are in him, the sins that are in him. He would cease ebbing and flowing with sin and begin to ebb and flow with the attributes of the Most High. You see, now that's a complete statement. You see, you've heard so many times, overcome your sin, overcome your sin, overcome your sin. But man does not begin to. Man hasn't learned to make the statement official, complete it. You must no longer sin and perform the attributes, do the attributes, increase in the attributes of the Most High. Decrease in sin and increase in the attributes of the Most High. Decrease in your materialism and increase in spiritualism, right? And so, if man could make a plant that generates electricity, he himself does not understand that he himself is a plant, an industry that also generates the always flowing attributes of God. You understand what I'm saying? And so when y'all realize the reason I said always flowing, you will understand that these things are still flowing, but yet man has turned them into negative poles with how he has conducted with the helm of his will the powers that come from the Father, only to use what appears to be good for the sake of evil, right? Evil intent. To use what appears to be health, right? For the sake of temporal pleasures, for the sake of pretentiousness, right? And so we appear to have a healthy conversation, right? Knowing that we don't live our lives to affect health. We don't live our lives to do the will of the Most High. So to affect wisdom, to affect love. We don't live our lives for these things, right? We live our lives to appear to be at the level of this wisest state of being. But inwardly, we're still wild beasts and carnal men. So, people, if you truly would turn this around, if you truly would change all the things that are happening to you, begin to affect these things spiritually. Begin to solve your problems spiritually. Don't go trying to solve what appears to be global warming materially. You can't solve it materially, people. It's going to continue to happen over and over again. There's nothing about what's happening to you all right now that will no longer have a material solution. It is time to solve things spiritually. And that's the beginning of the spiritual kingdom, when the solution to man's problem is in it. Peace and blessings.